school to play rugby.
Such a normal strategy for a first date? Do you think my country's national pastime?
Did you just say a date?
You noticed that, huh? Hi, Miss Calendar. Hey, Jones. Hey, guys, what's up? Eric's just a bus. Nothing there.
Yeah, nothing but a bunch of computer equipment and a pornography collection so prodigious it even scared me.
Did Buffy get back in?
No, no. Perhaps you should circulate nearer the field. See what you can find. So what's the score?
You'll have the body of a 17-year-old. In fact, you'll have the body of several.
He was here, Chris. Where did he take her?
To the rest of the body. To the lab.
Where is that?
Oh, shithead.
I promised him.
Kill Cordelia. You can't just keep and take lives like that. It's not your job.
He's in the old science lab. Everything's set up there.
If I'm Xander, we want to tell them what's going on. Daryl, please. You don't have to do this.
We have to, so we can be together.
We'll be together anyway. I'll be with you, I promise.
Is that right? You see anything you like? You're finished. You won't go out. You won't run away. We can hide together.
Please.
Throwing out for government work.
No. No. Buffy, help me. Daryl, listen. I know what you're doing, okay? Your brother sent me to stop you.
You didn't do that. My brother loves me.
Buffy went crazy. It's okay, Cordelia. I'm gonna get you out of here.
I'm not done with her yet. I'm not finished. shouldn't have brought him back. I was just trying to look out for him. Like, he would have done for me. I saw the fire. I think he'd be. Is everyone okay?
Yeah. We're okay.
Sorry about Lumos.
It's okay. Although a good rule of thumb for a first date is don't do anything so exciting that it'll be hard to top on a second.
Not since I moved here to the top of the hell mouth. The events of this evening actually qualifies as fair night. Did you say second mate?
You noticed that, huh?
Well, I guess that makes it official. Everybody's paired off. Vampires get dates. Hell, even the school librarian sees action with me. You ever think that the world is a giant game of musical chairs, and the music stopped, and we're the only ones who don't have a chair?
All the time. Xander, I just wanted to thank you for saving my life. What you did in there was really brave and heroic, and I just wanted to tell you if there's anything I could ever do to...
Do you mind? We're talking here. So where were we?
Wondering why we never do dates.
Yeah, so why do you think that is?
God, the whole thing was so creepy. At the same time, I mean, he did do it all for his brother.
Sounds like you took it a little over the edge.
Love makes you do the wacky.
What?
Crazy stuff.
Oh. Crazy like a 241-year-old being jealous of a high school junior?
Are you fessing up?
I thought about it. Maybe it bothers me a little.
I don't love Xander.
Yeah, but he's in your life. He gets to be there when I can't. Take your classes, eat your meals, hear your jokes and complaints. He gets to see you in sunlight.
Let's go.
That kind of dry fight.
Happy morning, sir.
I should probably go. I can walk you home.
Tough getting this bad boy started, to say the least. Where setting up a stream is always a hassle. Yo, okay, Theromax Corps member should be popping. Alright, baby doll, I'm about ready to do my thing.
You're about ready, or
I'm about to, I'm ready to do it. I figured I'd catch you in
What's
between
that?
episodes. I don't hate you.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You hate Buffy. It's okay.
Yep. Okay, I'm about to go live. Fair warning. If you walk by me, you will be seen. Still love you more. Right, let's see. Yeah, we got the mic attached. Sweet. Okay, let's full screen this bad boy. Make sure we get 100% in. And, yo, this mic is very sensitive. It seems to pick up everything in this room. Holy cow. Okay. Oh, there's something we need. How are we doing this without music? That's a fact. Something rolling in the background. There we go. We got Empty City rolling in the background. Now we're pulling W's. Now the only thing that remains is to send out the bat signal to all of my homies in the Theromax Corps. Let's go. Boom. Alright. Now we should be getting some people rolling up. Let me pop off this bad boy. Roll back over here. Yo, what's up? I got Christian Jacobs and Majin already hanging out. That's what's up. Yo, what are you guys looking forward to seeing inside this bad boy? I'm gonna let a few people straggle in. I'm curious to see exactly what you guys think is gonna pop off inside this video. And yo, if the music's too loud, let me know. I'll turn that jazz down. Yo, we got 6 people rolling in. It's looking like it's gonna be a blast. I got my boy Jobbers and Goons doing a crazy stream I missed a little while back. I've been wanting to cover it, and I actually talked to him about it recently, so I said, you know what, I can't skip out on that anymore, everybody. I gotta make it happen. So here we are. It sounds like there's gonna be some really interesting things in here too. I was told there's some cosmology stuff. This guy writes Blue Beetle apparently, and he's worked on some other DC content as well, so I'm really excited for this. Lost Soul finally coming to the conclusion that he has infinite power. Yo, I just gave Majin the power too. He's been a homie for ages, so I gotta give him the hookup. Yo, this man's literally an emotional entity. If you know, you know. Okay. Yo, I got about 5 people chilling. Yo, I'm gonna let that Discord call take a little bit longer. We're gonna see what's up. I've been hanging out for a minute trying to set up the stream, dude. It's been an absolute nightmare. But, took me a lot longer than I thought it would. But, dude, streaming takes so much time and effort, I swear. It's like doing a video on the fly. But that being said, you guys ready to make this happen? Yo, if I get enough W's in chat, we'll start this bad boy. Who's with me? Hey, we got Jobbers and Goons in the chat. What's up, man? Oh, and would everybody check out my boy Jobbers and Goons in the chat? This man just became a Theromax Corps member. That's what's up. That's what's up. Yo, he even got the extra jazz on the side. Yo, if you're cool, you'd obviously join like Jobbers and Goons download. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying. Ooh, I am seeing some W's, so let's start it. Let's see exactly what's popping off inside this video over here. I'm gonna turn the music down a tad so we have full focus on this video on the far side over here. Oh, we're getting all the W's rolling in now. Oh, we got Casual Lantern, another Theromax Corps member rolling up. That's what's up. Yo, the whole gang's here, man. I'm telling you. All right, but with no further ado, let's make it happen. I'm really looking forward. I was told some really cool stuff about this interview, so I'm pretty excited to see exactly what it holds. And I just moved my camera, so if you guys notice me keep looking this way, I promise it's because I just moved you guys over here. But let's make it happen.
Appreciate you coming in, stopping by, and giving us your time. So we're going to be touching on a lot of things today in terms of Blue Beetle, your run, and some of the things that kind of help.
I've heard really good things about this Blue Beetle run too.
And I think the first thing I want to talk about is Starfire, actually. So
okay, we're going straight into Starfire. Okay.
And immediately offer mentorship to Blue Beetle in a way no one else would, because she was all for him being hands on deck and getting in the action. So
that's curious. I wouldn't have put those two together. Like in all honesty.
Why Starfire?
Yeah, that's a good question.
and
Jobber's
that's a
asking the
fair
good
question.
questions.
That's actually the question I think I get the most about the graduation day run. Years ago, I was at a convention and I got to chat with the voice actress who plays Starfire, and I love the Teen
Oh, and for those who were asking earlier, there's gonna be a slight echo for just a few minutes, so chill, okay?
Titans cartoons. I like Teen Titans more than maybe Teen Titans Go, but they're both good.
Yo, it looks
and
sounds like this writer has
like,
good taste.
oh, I
Teen
love
Titans over Teen
Starfire.
Titans
She's
Go.
so funny,
Based.
positive, and a little ditzy, and the voice actress was like, no,
This artwork for her is
absolutely not.
awesome,
Starfire
too.
is not ditzy, and everyone thinks that Starfire is kind of naive, but she's not.
Not in the
She-
comics.
You know, some people are like street smart. Starfire is like space smart.
Yeah,
you know,
that's a good way of
Like,
putting it.
she just is
Absolutely.
not. She's just not in space anymore. But if you put her
Yeah.
in like an alien, and what we call an alien
An
environment,
alien environment,
she's the
yeah.
most capable leader. She's the most competent warrior. She knows the most about the DC universe probably than anyone on the Titans at least.
Whoa, okay, I was about to say,
And she
whoa!
fills this role,
That's a big
and she
claim.
can kind of connect Jaime to his alien side, whereas classic heroes like Batman or Ted Kord kind of connect him to more of that Earth-based hero community. Because Jaime is really walking in two worlds.
I think it would be really cool to see Jaime kind of step up and hang out with the Titans for a while. I think Blue Beetle on the Titans would be pretty lit. I'm sure 100% it's happened before, like definitively, but like in the current day, especially with like the big stuff going on with like the movie, which is kind of being celebrated by this because it came out not too long ago. Like it would be really cool to kind of see those things happen over here.
In so many ways.
Yo, I'm gonna read a quick chat real fast. Yo, my boy Mr. Moore says, Lumos, you should try to interview a writer. Yo, if I was given the opportunity, a 10 out of 10 would interview a writer, dude. I think that would be really interesting. And I was actually talking to someone who may be able to make that happen. So if you guys want to see me try my hand at doing something along these lines, I think it would be really cool to do so. Give me some more W's down low. We'll see if we can fill this bad boy up. Yo, see if y'all can convince good old jobbers and goons to give me the hookup. You never know.
What we were talking about, and I had just cut out for the audience in case they're wondering why I cut. We're talking about the importance of Starfire in this run and the approach to why she would be so useful to Blue Beetle in this instance in terms of what she provides.
Like the writer was saying, it would make sense that Starfire, who's someone he considers like space smart, would roll up and hang out with like Blue Beetle. They're both characters who have a really interesting connection to like space and inhabiting it. And it's weird to me that we don't see him more involved with a lot more of the spacefaring heroes, I guess. He is almost always seen as somebody who's like hanging out on Earth.
In the environments he was in.
Perfect combination in all reality, even though I wouldn't have guessed it.
I thought there was a big opportunity to kind of enhance the threat of the Reach. We've seen it kind of alluded to in the past. That
this is something I agree with 100%. So, for those who don't know, we have a long history of people saying the Lanterns and the Reach are enemies, and we even see big examples of that, like within like the Young Justice TV series. But I never feel like we've actually had a moment where they were seen as like cosmic threats or even like universal threats, right? They were just like one more faction in the universe who were just like causing problems as time has went on. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the Reach can do at high ends, especially if they're supposed to be like Green Lantern Corps villains, not just like random Green Lantern villains, I guess, if that makes sense.
that they've conquered countless worlds. They're an all-consuming force in some level. It's just there to take over the universe. And for me, it made sense that, well, if they've tried to take over all these planets, I bet there are a few that we would know as DC Universe fans, right? And so I thought Tamaran would be a natural place. And, you know, Tamaran has kind of a rich warrior culture as well. And so I'm
cool to see them
though
fight.
we didn't get into the full details of it, I hope to explore that more. You know, what connects the Tamaranians to the Reach, and the idea of building up this past great war between them gave Starfire an instant connection to kind of the history of Kajida, and also maybe gave her a little bit of expertise in the situation that maybe they need most.
Absolutely. And, you know, like you said originally, with meeting the voice actress and understanding the complexity of her character, a lot of people take for granted. It was I think my favorite part with Starfire in the run is when she starts the mental read of the history of the Reach. And
all right, that's it, boys. I'm gonna have to wind up reading this run, dude. This actually sounds like a really cool story. I feel really bad I didn't read it ahead of time, man. This is crazy. A really interesting team up between both of these guys. Yo, Lost Soul says, I can't wait for the Guardians to mess things up. Well, hey, Lost Soul, guess what? You don't have to, because they're dead. Every single one of them, as far as we are aware. They all got killed by Koyos in the 2021 Green Lantern run. So we basically replaced them with the United Planets, who are like the Galactic Senate for DC. So don't worry, they'll fuck it up instead of the Guardians. It's just how it be nowadays.
She's quite literally, in that instant, even though it overwhelmed her and she freaks out, she understood the history. Like, she clearly processed it in a way that so many of the brightest minds currently in DC are failing to do.
I feel like, you know, I was just kind of going off of building on her kind of established power of language, right? And language and history, they're all kind of tied in together on some level, right? The history of words go back millennia.
True.
And so for Starfire, it's something she's connecting a story she always knew about her people that was more like a legend with the truth of the Reach. And being able to access that Horizon Reach language unlocked something for her and made a connection to the Tamaran story.
There's a lot of interesting powers at play here.
Yeah, that was... I thought it was amazing because, to me, you know, you almost...
Starfire's just such a wholesome character, though, man, I'm telling you.
A common character to pick. You know, we have access to Superman and a lot of other of the, quote, big names, but you chose Starfire to continue the I guess you would say, outreach to the Reach in terms of exploring their lore. And that was, seeing that come together was really amazing to see because, you know, high risk, high reward.
I agree 100%. Like, if you just have Superman show up in every story because Superman can fly through space and he like helps you solve your spacefaring stuff, or even if that was only used for like the Lanterns, which is kind of should be like their area of expertise, that does kind of degrade the story. It makes your universe feel so much smaller, even though you have such a large universe and so many characters you can play with, right? So using Starfire, a fan favorite character who's not one of the biggest characters ever, is, I think, really important. But more so than that, I think it's far more interesting that like we're seeing a lot more of an influence from all the Titans now that the Justice League is effectively disbanded. Like, nobody wants to be the League anymore, and the Titans have stepped up into that role. In case you guys haven't been keeping up with like the current day version of comics post Dark Crisis.
And I'm curious, is Starfire going to continue to be a major factor?
Oh, and yo, Jobbers and Goons down low says he's writing Scarab War, which ties into Lanterns, etc., etc. I have seen that we're going to get some stuff in the future between Lanterns and Scarabs, so that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm really excited to see a lot of what they're doing with Lanterns in general right now, and if the way they're writing the Lanterns currently is going to be reflective at all of what the Scarab War is going to be like, or even the Reach's opponents for them will be, I think that's going to be really, really interesting, because Hal's like, he's on some stuff in this newer stuff, and it's really interesting.
For you, moving forward?
Starfire will play a role in Scarab War and beyond.
Okay, there's that Scarab War.
Cast, so it's going to take a minute for her to pop in, but when she does,
large cast,
you'll feel it. She has a really important conversation with Jaime coming up that kind of frames his mindset after the events of issue 1. And so I love the character. I love seeing her in Palmyra City. I hope she.
Dude, her hair looks awesome in this artwork, dude. It's sick.
The Titans every month as well. So check out that book, of course.
Absolutely. I actually, you know, we'll kind of use that to segue into another topic in terms of other characters. Using Shazam in this run, because Shazam
shows up. Okay.
Contrast to the situation, because he's rolling around literally powered by the gods. You know, he doesn't have
he's on some shit
to worry about in the world in terms of something really affecting him. And I was curious, what was your approach? Like, how did you view?
Yo, Jessica Cruz showed up. Yo, the Lanterns apparently show up to start messing with some shit. Apparently, with Shazam.
Needed a team We don't have a Justice League.
How's this
right
even
now in
possible?
DC continuity.
Did she stay with the Green Lantern Corps?
You know, they
Dark
after
Crisis. Yeah.
after the crisis, they're off the table for now. They're all operating independently, and the Titans have really stepped forward in this new dawn of DC to be the heroes of the DC universe. It's their time.
Yo, Jessica
which is a
Cruz
really
versus
exciting
Starfire?
idea. But that also left us with a position of, if Batman's going to get a group together to take on our new Beatles, who is he going to get? And so that's like the most fun a comic writer can have, right? Because you get to play all these.
Yeah, that's heaven at that point.
Batman
Facts.
put a team together. Well, we've all been preparing for this our entire lives, right?
Yeah. I do it a lot on my channel. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Talking about Batman, what do you do?
Yeah, my instinct is always to go towards arguably the more B-list characters or lower than B-list, but I have a great
I can
editor,
respect that.
Andrew,
I can
and
respect that.
He's always like, this team needs, when you turn the page, this team needs to take your breath away, right? You need to be like, these are the heavy hitters. This is functionally a Justice League style team. So Shazam was kind of an obvious choice because he's like, he is like incredibly powerful.
It's up there,
and
yeah.
he kind of has that magic connection, which might make him more of a viable threat against the Scarab.
Yeah,
which
'cause
Kajida
has worked against it before,
running throughout them.
Yeah.
We haven't touched on the other Scarabs in that regard yet, but
we definitely will. That's really why I bring up Shazam, because one of the big moments that stick with me during your run with Graduation Day is Shazam, and I believe it was Dynasties, or how do you pronounce it? Yeah. And seeing the Horizon touch on what Shazam represents, and getting that funny moment with Shazam going, I'm
gonna have to read this run, dude.
Always try my hardest. And Scarab said the same thing. Seeing that, because Shazam historically has always been, for lack of a better term, like a measuring stick. We know what Shazam brings to the table.
It's like you're a leaguer if you could fuck with Shazam.
Historically been brought along to rival someone like Superman in terms of a heavy hitter. So seeing the Scarabs interact with him and seem to know.
Yo, who else is just hype as fuck for having stuff like this, bro? Jobbers and Goons out here making the big boy plays and making interviews happen. Yo, this is like actually low key sick. It's so crazy to hear him in an interview with like a famous writer, dude. It's wild to me.
He is. I'm kind of curious. Did they check on him before, or was it something where they would just, in that situation, kind of recognize that level of power?
I think they recognize
Barry gets one shot. Or is this Wally? There's no way this is Wally.
More the host of the of Dynastis, Jamara. I think she's aware. You have to know some of the superheroes if you live in the DC universe, right?
Yeah.
And so,
you should. Yeah. Everyone in the universe knows them.
Common knowledge, like they probably don't know like that John Jones is weak to fire or whatever, but like they'll know who Shazam is and what his gimmick is to a degree. And so there's that. But I do think on some level, these
Reach check is pretty weird.
Are so powerful, and they're able to take in so much information about these worlds that in preparation for Kajida, originally.
Jobbers and Goons says Wally got mauled, so run is 10 out of 10. I couldn't preach more. After he gets presence amps, it's time for Wally to get cut down, okay? And he loses the random Scarab guy. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe he's like a notable figure in the community, or at least I would assume so since he's rolling up. But still, he ain't that guy. That's for sure.
The world, and then also for these new Beetles to kind of take on Kajida.
One thing that's cool though is like in Young Justice we saw like Black Beetle roll up, and that's a real strong storyline even inside the comics and stuff, but it was done really well inside like Young Justice, for example. But I think something that's really interesting to me is the fact that we've never seen like a Beetle Justice League or like their supreme like super mega commandos like roll up and fight like big boy tier leaguers like this. At least that I'm aware of like to this degree. So that's wild.
So you have to kind of they did their homework, I think, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the feel you get as the reader, especially with, in my opinion, it leads into a really cool interaction between the Horizon leader and Superman, in which he literally says, you know, based on our data that we've collected throughout the universe, the only person we sensibly believe could repel the Reach is House of L. So I think it was, and I'm curious if this was intentional, out of all the characters these scarabs interact with, I mean, Flash, they are fighting Lanterns, Shazam, they were only
this Scarab War sounds hype.
Superman.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case with.
I mean, out of the cast of characters who rolled up to stop them, yeah, that would make sense. Superman's like clearly on a tier above like everyone else I think they saw, like definitively. And Superman is known, I would say, even more so than any of the Earth heroes because he's traveled around the universe and saved the universe so many different times. So 100% agree.
A lot of
should be the case.
Aliens in the DC universe, right? The only thing they might know about Earth is that it's home to Superman.
Yeah, literally. Dude, this writer knows what's up.
And I think that's always been, you know, a feather in Earth's cap, or he's Earth's greatest protector.
I would say so too, yeah. Most notable. Listen to the Blue Beetle wank over here. What is this?
I think the Horizon were in a very desperate place.
Blue Beetle's OG.
And their last
but he ate that
hope
OG.
was to come to Earth. And they knew that Superman would be waiting for them.
True.
Yeah, that's so.
And he's open to everybody, so that would make sense.
In respect to.
Okay.
It's kind of their reaction relative to all other characters. Like, we do get to see them in
some sort of misunderstanding.
Very important, impressive, and powerful characters. But when it comes to Superman, it's just a different level. And
true.
I feel like that big brother aspect of Superman, you know, the original superhero, that was huge in this run, especially with Blue Beetle himself, because in a way, even though he didn't agree, and I'm curious to see your thoughts on this, like at all times Jaime didn't agree with what was going on, but he knew Superman would
Superman, you know,
or he wouldn't do anything bad to him.
Why would Superman do that? Because he's fucking Superman.
The alien side of Superman for this story to you?
Yeah, that's a good question too.
I can see that playing a part. Okay.
Superman is very much like Jaime. I think that Jaime wishes he were Batman, but he is Superman. You know, like Batman's always the hero he looks up to the most in some ways, but in reality, Superman's more of the kind of hero that Jaime is and will ultimately become. And so I think Superman and Batman, to a degree, that when they saw the potential threat of the Reach arriving to Earth, you know, they wanted to make sure that Jaime was off the table, not only so he wouldn't get hurt, but also because he might pose a threat to Earth. It's not that they don't trust Jaime, they fear the power of the Scarab, of Kajida, on some level.
Yes. And you know, that's perfect to get into the power and your approach with the Scarabs, because you literally acknowledged Dark Crisis in the run, referenced things you dealt with, you even
in Dark Crisis references? Let's go.
And my point with
this is
right
there.
I've seen a lot of things. Batman has literally gone against gods.
Yeah, Batman been around.
This Reach,
Batman been around.
It's something even he fears. The Scarabs he fears. Even if he...
Yeah, that technology is pretty scary.
He does at least admit to, when talking to Superman in the run, hey, I need you to understand, Superman, we actually don't have a way to stop them if they fully invade it.
Yo, it'll be sick to see a full-on Reach invasion. Let's go.
Oh, go on, please.
Oh, yeah. And I was just kind of wondering, you know, Batman, it's almost as if in this run, it's not what he knows that scares him. It's the idea of what he doesn't know. And Batman's paranoia makes the Scarabs. What was your approach with that?
You know, if we go back to the Infinite...
Batman is always paranoid. That's just how it goes, man. It doesn't matter at what point in time Batman is gonna be a paranoid schizophrenic against any problem he deems as something that will be difficult for him or the League to handle. So that doesn't surprise me whatsoever. I think that's accurate, like 10 out of 10 writing on his part whenever it comes to Batman.
Crisis, where Jaime debuted, and he, you know, the Scarab was
True.
originally used as a way to track down Brother Eye,
Mhm.
which was something so powerful that
And
Batman helped create.
That's also weird because that's what that looks like right there.
But it grew beyond his ability to control it, right? And so here's something, the Scarab,
Okay.
that is even more powerful than that, and it's in the hands of a very impressionable teenager
Child.
kind
Yeah.
of from a culture that Bruce doesn't quite understand either. So there's a lot of trepidation, I think, because, you know, from his origins, from his first connections with Batman, Batman's keenly aware that he's outclassed in the power department by the Scarab. But obviously Batman has the experience to back himself up.
Yeah. Experience is just random
and
skills.
I think
Yo, Bat Beetle.
watching that build up,
Yo, let's go.
because we can kind of, I hate to say it, we can measure Batman's respect for you by his protocols reacting to you.
Yeah, true.
And his
Very true.
protocols for Blue Beetle is Shazam, Flash. He had Black Condor there. He had Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, he rolled up with a big contingency of
Man,
characters,
talk
man.
about
That's
respect for power.
unfortunate.
Do you think? And were you going?
Boy,
with the
Batman
idea
was
that
big boy scared.
Batman genuinely is unsure how that war would go.
Yeah, I think in my head, I think that's the growing fear. And you know, with the Reach, they're a little insidious. They don't always just show up with warships, right? Sometimes they destroy a society from the inside, and they infiltrate it, and they turn people against each other, or they hack into all the technology. There are a million different ways the Reach can kind of get their chokehold on a planet. And I think for someone who has that level of that, I guess, you know, Batman, I call it paranoia, but I don't think that's necessarily fair.
No,
But
10 out of
someone
10.
who has Batman's
Paranoia.
preparedness, this is a threat that comes from every angle, and that's kind of terrifying on some level.
So, like, yeah, terrifying is something I agree. He's afraid. That's why, once again, back in like Forever Evil, he earned that Yellow Lantern ring. Batman is afraid. Even Parallax himself considered him a disciple of Parallax. So, like, Batman's afraid and comes up with these plans. So, just in case they ever do need, in case those fears come to light. Interesting stuff, though. Very interesting stuff. What do you guys think so far?
Like
Yo, for those just joining us, man, we're just chilling. We're watching this new interview that Jobbers and Goons has with the writer of the newest Blue Beetle run. So it's been really cool so far. Keep chilling.
really
Let's see where we're at.
stretch through the comic was when the Scarabs touched down, and Batman just doesn't know how to react yet because he's not sure what their intentions are. He doesn't know what side Jaime's on. He's not sure how he's leaning in terms of his own Scarab, and how do you think Batman would approach the idea of something like, let's say, for instance, Jaime goes evil. This fully gives.
Ooh, okay. Yo, how does Batman prep for evil Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes? Yo, that's a good question. Ooh, because if he's packing like League members to roll up and talk to him because he think he's wiling out, man, what could he design against them specifically? That's really curious. What do you guys think? What do you think would be Batman's prep time for Blue Beetle? And like, specifically his technology. I'm not talking he just goes and gets the conceptual fucking gun and shoots him. No, I'm talking like exclusively for this specific instance. Or will he be like one of the issues where he just doesn't really have anything he can get for him? Like, I know in the New 52 that he had like a box for Wonder Woman and the entire League, each one of them, like essentially their own kryptonites, and Wonder Woman's was just empty because he just didn't have anything for her. So maybe it's a similar situation.
To, regardless of how much we love him as a kid and as a hero, this is a different level of power. It truly is. How do you see Batman approaching that? Like, do you think he'd be willing to put down Jaime for good? Because that was kind of the moral questions around how they would treat Blue Beetle in here was getting kind of tense. I'm curious to see how close to the line we are.
I mean, that's a story for another day, maybe. But I don't think, Batman doesn't cross that line for sure. He would always find a way to work around it.
Batman is a good guy.
He has no shortage of other heroes, powerful entities, cosmic entities that he could pull on to kind of even the score if he needed to.
So he just hold up. Did this man just say Batman's gonna be pulling cosmic entities to deal with it? Is that what we heard, or at least drawing power from them in order to deal with it? This Blue Beetle action is insane, man.
The fear is that if things escalate to that kind of position, too many people will get hurt in the crossfire of that. And that's something Batman won't stand for either.
Yeah, true.
True. I mean, when we saw the different Scarabs touch down, he's literally saying, if this escalates, we don't know what's going to happen to these cities.
What? This comic sounds wild, man. Why am I getting the vibe that this comic, this is feeling like a Justice League story or like an arc that the Justice League go on that happens to cross over with Jaime. Like Jaime's the character they're featuring in that entire arc. But it's like the inverse. It's like this arc with Blue Beetle just has like everybody in DC, and it feels so connected, dude. That's so sick.
A lot to Starfire, but she's really crucial to the story. I want to kind of talk about how strong does everybody...
Parabats.
And when I say everybody...
You guys in chat kill me.
Starfire. How strong does she think Blue Beetle is? And the reason I say that is we see him go against the Green Scarab that literally later on... I know we don't see it then, but later on slaps away Shazam like a ragdoll when he...
Damn.
And she said, hey, just go for it. One-on-one right now. I'm here to coach you up and see what you got and bring to the table. How confident is she really is in the power of the Blue Beetle?
Oh, I mean, I think she has full faith in Jaime.
Did I miss something going on with Blue Beetle? Are they saying his technology has always been like this powerful? He's just never been able to access it to that caliber? There's some sort of crazy amp that Jaime got that I hadn't heard about that just made him insanely powerful? Y'all have got to read this run. It sounds wild.
And to a degree, Kajida. But Starfire is fearless and she's incredibly powerful. I think we underestimate her a lot of the time. And we underestimate kind of what a powerful warrior she is. She's willing to take things. She might be willing to, in the past, she's crossed lines that even Batman, would.
True. Very true.
For what was necessary at the time. So she has a different code of honor.
She's a warrior, a lot like Wonder Woman at times.
Heroes,
yeah.
But she's no less of a hero herself.
That's a great point. Yeah, and I think that was the best part of her character in this run. Her willingness to literally run point on what was going on, because in a lot of ways, the beauty of the story was the idea of everyone running blind. Like even the smartest minds they have to access, like Batman, Ted Cord, they're very limited to what they actually know. Cord knows more in regards to the reach, and I kind of want to get into that because I loved what you did with Ted Cord. Spoiler alert, that was probably my favorite character in the run. Ted Cord was hilarious. And what was your approach with Ted in this? Like, how do you see Ted in relation to Jaime? Like, what the importance of keeping him in the story?
That's a fair question. Graduation Day and the new Blue Beetle series, which drops today, it's Ted's story. It's Jaime's story, and Ted's a big part of that story. He's part of that legacy.
The legacy. Holy cow! This writer's taking the words straight out of my mouth.
And I think Ted will always have Jaime's back. He'll always be there, and he'll always be kind of
he's just a homie,
a guiding light. But Jaime came into his own originally as a hero, kind of in the shadow of Ted. So there's this myth of Ted Cord that Jaime is trying to live up to. And I think sometimes he confuses that with the reality of Ted Cord. not to say that Ted isn't a hero or brave or smart, but I think you sometimes you think your legends
They represent
are maybe a
different
little bit
things.
bigger and grander than they
Yeah.
are. And so for Ted, the challenge is to live up to that hype, live up to that expectation, and to be the hero that Jaime believes that he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful point. And actually, one of the people that helped me get prepared for this, one of my neighbors for years was actually like one of the biggest collectors in the world. Of
Yeah, we're
comics.
getting lore.
And he
Let's
was
go.
a huge fan of Ted Cord. In particular, his relation with Booster Gold.
Yeah,
So,
they were written really well.
Shout out to Tony and Scoop and all the ones that kind of asked this. Booster, do you have any plans for
Will Booster show
any
up?
kind of integration of that relationship with the mythos?
It wouldn't surprise me since Ted's
I
here a
would
lot.
say I love Booster Gold. I love Ted Cord and Booster Gold. There are no better friends in the DC universe than those guys.
One of
Whoa,
the best, it
chill.
really is.
They're perfect together.
They are good friends, though.
I think keep reading the book, and you might be pleasantly surprised. But ultimately, this series
definite
is
maybe.
about new, right? It's going to be.
Although, to be fair, it wouldn't surprise me to see something along the lines of like Booster not be able to be involved due to like major time events and stuff. Like, I know one of the major reasons why he didn't get involved even whenever Blue Beetle had originally died was due to time shenanigans that had to happen. So he just couldn't undo it. So who knows?
A new city, a new location, a new villains, new heroes, new supporting cast to some degree, and just like taking Jaime into situations he's never been before. And there have been some excellent comics. I'm thinking of the Blue and Gold thing that came out a few years ago.
Yeah,
or
Blue and
Justice
Gold
League
was really
Generation
good.
Lost, or even in the original John Rogers, Keith Giffen run of that Blue Beetle series with Jaime. They've had a lot of chances to interact, and I'm interested in, as Jaime continues to grow into the hero that I envision him to be, what's that going to be like when Booster sees him all grown up? You know what I mean? Like, that's really interesting to me. And so I want to explore more of that. Hopefully we get enough time to. But right now we have a huge cast, and
They really do.
the door's always open for the Justice League International crew. Personal favorites.
Okay.
And I kind of, because it's
JLI was
you're in a
a
tough
crazy
position
run.
as a writer, just as someone
Very
that
character
keeps
driven.
in so many different comics. It's kind of like different. Sometimes I touch on manga and anime on my channel, and I'm not sure if you're aware. of
The humble
dynamics
brag.
between both industries, but you have to operate within a world that's also being constructed by others. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Dealing
True.
with a different cast,
A larger cosmology and a larger storytelling mythos.
And I'm curious, as a writer, like, how do you approach that? Because there really is a lot you have to kind of be aware of as you're carving the mythos out, because there's new.
Yo, he's right. This has got to suck. Like, I'll admit, writing your own story is super fun. I make my own content and stuff, obviously, even outside of here, in terms of storytelling. But, like, I couldn't imagine trying to just fit a puzzle piece into this larger picture that other people are designing. That creative limitation's got to be tough, but it seems like he's doing really good with it.
New mixed with legacy. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
Yeah, so it's a tricky thing, right? Because I don't own Jaime Reyes. I'm just the main writer of Jaime Reyes, and I'm trying to build out a story and build out a corner of the DC universe that is truly his. And so we're really lucky to have Palmera City as kind of like, I consider it Jaime's metropolis, whereas El Paso is a little bit more his Smallville.
Okay. Yeah, that really is an interesting way to put it.
Get into Palmera City. I love the concept. But yeah, I'm sorry. I love Palmera City.
Well, El Paso will always be there for Jaime. And I think that's a big part of kind of his origin and his heart is that too. Kind of lost sight of the original question because I started to think about El Paso.
That's fine. Yeah, it's more so. I was
The
wondering.
hub where the smartest minds in the world meet. Okay.
When I say manga.
Yo, fuck
anime
Metropolis.
side, typically
Yo,
those
fuck
are, like,
Metropolis,
one writer
man.
operating within their own verse or multiverse they can control, and just your approach to the dynamic of not having that singular touch on the multiverse. Like, you literally have so many moving parts, especially after Dark Crisis, which you quite
True.
reference in Graduation.
I'm very surprised to see that referenced in the newer stuff,
you know,
other than just
I'm
leaving that in the
trying to
past.
find a space for Jaime where he can exist, and also that other characters can inhabit too, right? So I hope to see. This is not a spoiler because it's not happening anytime soon. But I'd love to see the Flash show up in Palmyra City for a storyline. I'd love to see Superman show up for a Superman storyline.
Okay.
And
I want crossovers from all the heroes, but in this city,
not
yeah.
too far away from the other
That's
big
cool.
cities in DC. So I hope that.
Okay, so it's somewhere on the
there's
east
a lot of
East Coast somewhere?
bouncing back and forth between these different locales.
Boom City in the east. All right,
We
all
are
right.
focusing on kind of our big storyline right now, which is Scarab War, but it will kind of, I'm hoping, affect and kind of ripple effect into other corners of the DC universe.
Okay, so he's wanting tie-ins a lot more
And
past this comic.
We're gonna segue
That would be
into
sick.
Palmyra City, and because that's one of the biggest parts of the story that you can directly move around with in terms of designing Palmyra City, given its extended
Okay.
lore. And we don't know a crazy amount about Palmyra City yet, but we do know that it's held in some of the highest regard for technology and the intelligence side of that department. I'm curious, how does Palmyra City, in terms of the IQ, what it offers as a city, how does it stack up in the DC landscape?
Yo, we're about to have like a city off. Yo, we're about to see Metropolis, Gotham, and and Palmyra City all go ham. Yo, will we get Coast City or even Central City in there too? Let's go.
Yeah, I kind of imagine, I've been saying, I see Palmyra City, and don't make me point to it on a map, but like DC City, don't make me point to it on a map. But I consider it like a Silicon Valley on the Gulf Coast. So
Gulf
it's
Coast,
like,
okay.
imagine like all the high tech of San Francisco, but also surrounded by kind of like the culture, the heritage of El Paso, of San Antonio, of
Okay, so this
Miami
isn't too far from where he was at. Okay.
I'm from San Antonio and Helotes, so I was picking up on.
I assumed it was like really far away from where he was. Boy, was I freaking wrong.
I have a family from San Antonio. Actually, the diner that Jaime is working at is modeled after my family's diner. It's called Ray's Drive-In. It's in San Antonio, so check it out.
Based.
That's
We're gonna have to go?
amazing fun fact.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go.
Ray's Drive-In became
Yo,
Glory's
Theromax
Diner.
Corps, let's go support.
They're not the same, but they both have classic cars parked in front.
Got you. That's
That's
actually
sick.
Awesome reference. And with Palmyra City, you kind of alluded to it, but are you hoping that it becomes as known in the mainstream as like a Metropolis, a Gotham, in these big event cities?
I think we offer kind of a unique flavor to these big cities. I think obviously we have kind of like a specific
Dude, I've got to read this run.
diversity and
Stuff
culture
looks
we're kind of
wild.
pulling from. But even then, I think we have kind of a more unique identity, because like Metropolis is kind of the city of tomorrow. Gotham is kind of like faded from its former glory at some level. And
The
then you
crime's
also
holding it
have,
down.
Like Palmyra City, which is a little
Up
of
and
both.
coming.
It's the old world, kind of these old classic cultures, these old communities, these long family lines, and this immigrant community alongside it.
And all these
And
companies
then
are
you
coming
have
in.
the center city, the hub,
Yeah.
which is really filled with businesses like Court Industries. You could easily imagine Luther, LexCorp being there. You could imagine all these DC businesses running shop out of there, because there's a big brain.
Must have a good
trust.
text code.
It's where some of the brightest minds in the DC universe work and live. And up to this point, it's been kind of off the radar because there haven't been any big superhero crises there yet. I bet that's what makes the city so attractive.
Or
to
basically, it
people.
formed the intelligentsia.
That's changing. The Beatles have moved in, so things are gonna.
That's true.
Hmm.
I would love
That's interesting,
to,
though.
because it was one of my favorite, because kind of the part of my job is constantly taking notes on these new runs and updates on both sides.
True.
One of my favorite aspects of tracking during your run, and something I'm really looking forward to on seeing get expanded on, is the cosmic beef between the Reach and the Horizon. Because while it may not be on the minds of everybody throughout the universe, you made it pretty obvious that not only
this was going to be big,
like a terrible dispute between the two, both sides are capable. It's not one of those where it's a one-side capability thing and a wipeout. The Horizon are very capable. So I would love to hear your approach to the Reach versus Horizon conflict and why it's so important to everybody else.
Yeah.
Artwork looks pretty wild on this run too.
Originally portrayed in the Blue Beetle comics, the first run, they seem kind of like on some level very uniform, very a monolith, right? It's the all-powerful Reach, and they're coming for you and your planet. And I wanted to show a little bit more nuance with that. Just like any warlike society, there are kind of dissenters or those who would
always those who step off,
or freedom fighters. And we've seen a little bit of that in previous Blue Beetle runs, but I really wanted to kind of hammer in and give them a unique identity and prove that all the Reach are not evil. They have their.
Some people have moved to their own immortals.
They all might be very powerful.
Broke free.
There are those that want to conquer, and there are those that want to live in peace. And the Horizon are the ones that want to live in peace. They've been fleeing from the Reach for so long that they've developed their own culture and their own communities and their own beetles.
Yeah, and
like weirdly neutral beetles versus oppressive ones.
Featuring the Reach and Horizon. I'm curious, obviously we don't want to spoil anything, but you've already touched on your approach to the idea of not everybody can be oblivious to what the Reach has done, in a cosmic scale. So are we going to see
people gotta know
that being alluded to, like other people that have issues with the Reach versus Horizon, or is this more strictly going to just be Earth?
We might see as the series goes on. I'm hoping to explore more about the history of the Horizon. We're definitely going to meet. We're going to meet new characters who are of the Horizon. So we're going to put some faces onto these kind of mysterious alien refugees, and we're going to explore some stories with them too. So we're going to learn more about the Horizon's history, I think, through these fresh characters.
Awesome. And talking about the technology and capability of both, I kind of want to get into that as we get to the back end of the interview. I really want to talk about what Blue Beetle himself has gone through, what he's capable of, because I feel like, in a general sense, approaching how he's going to matter to the rest of the universe in DC, he's not just something you can disregard.
Yeah.
And this is according to some of the heaviest hitters we have to offer. So my question to you is, when you think of the power of the Scarab, when you think of the power of the potential of Jaime and Blue Beetle,
is he about to ask? What's the limits?
Compare him to.
Oh no, who he's comparing to? Okay.
Like,
that's interesting.
His power level.
How do I want to?
Oh, he ain't gonna. I don't know if he's gonna limit himself.
I think I always say, and I truly believe it, that Jaime has the most powerful artifact, weapon, whatever you want to call it, in the whole DC universe attached to his spine. And it's a level
that's insane, yo. Holy hold up, we gotta stop and we gotta talk about that. Yo, this man just said Blue Beetle, the Scarab, is the strongest artifact in the entire DC universe. Yo, what is happening right now? This is like some crazy town statements in terms of how strong he is, bro. That's insane. Yo, let's go.
As he feels more.
Yeah, they are making him a mainstay character.
I mean, literally, we see that him go through that mental, reaching out to the Scarab and establishing.
Yeah, I think there are mental blocks to that, and I think there are also blocks maybe that Cashapp is keeping from him. You know, it's not that they
Yeah,
don't
okay.
trust each other. I think it's just
So they
Jaime's
both
still
have
coming
mental
into
nerfs?
his own as a hero, and still kind of learning to deal with this incredible power that's been given to him. And so, you know, I think where Jaime will be in 10 years, he'll be even more powerful than he is now, and he is already at one of the big heavy hitters.
And does that, as we know about within DC, how strong the imagination is? Like, we know literally imagination itself has its own cosmic place within DC. And is that imagination aspect important to you for the Scarab? Like, keeping the limits on it loose?
I don't like to I don't have like a power ranking in my mind or anything for sure, but I do because the power of the Scarab can kind of be anything, be as powerful, you know, it can do so
Could
many
be
different
anything.
things. It's really limited by the imagination of the host, and so Jaime's
So a
getting
lot like a
better
lantern
at
ring.
that.
Okay.
But I want to explore, and this is a personal challenge to myself. I want to explore what that means beyond energy beams and, you know, stuff like that. So I'm hoping
Taking him past just combat, maybe?
of his powers that we've never seen before as well.
Okay.
Yeah, that, and
That's
I'm
intriguing.
interested to see that as well, because, you know, one of the, besides just, you know, for people like me who on the nerd side just want to talk about who can beat who up if we if we let them go wild, it's also, you know, on the power side with Jaime, it's important to several characters in the story. For example, as we talked about before, Batman is unsure how they would actually stop him if he let loose. We've seen the other Scarabs and their hosts say, look, as much as you guys might love and respect Jaime, if he loses control, you have to be
Y'all gonna lose some people. Yeah.
So
Yo, they're really playing up Blue Beetle. This is pretty wild.
We see him, and I'm not sure. It'd be great if you could clarify. It seems like Jaime was tapping more into the Scarab at the end when he kind of confronts Batman and lets him know, I understand this is a tricky situation, but I'm a hero too. Is he getting strong? Like, one in that moment was that, you know, him getting
the power
stronger,
creep's hitting Blue Beetle. Let's go.
Yeah, I think that as his confidence continues to grow, so is his power, right? It's no surprise we took some of our influence from kind of like classic manga and just that sort of vibe. And there's a direct correlation between kind of like Jaime's confidence level and his power level. And I think that's something we're going to continue to explore. He kind of, having reconnected to Kaji in that meaningful way at the end of graduation day, it kind of unlocked a new armor form for him. What does that mean?
Yeah, he's getting amps. Okay.
Exactly. That's something we're going to touch on in.
That's what we're gonna find out.
In Scarab War and beyond.
love
Okay.
it. And
I'm gonna have to review
me,
this shit on the channel,
my
dude. This
favorite
entire run, dude. I'm telling you.
To kind of, just in terms of the curious side of me, like I want to see what they do, was the division of Scarabs sent to take care of the Reach, which obviously was Jaime and his beetle. For them, are you hoping to make them more permanent fixtures in the DC landscape?
I've always said they need more exposure. Yeah. Scarab should always have been more prominent inside DC mythology. I never understood why they didn't.
Create these characters that there's always a place for them somewhere. So I hope that we see more of Dynastus, more of Natila, and more of the Horizon kind of filtering out throughout the DC universe. That's, you know, the best part about these things is you can create a character and it might not get any use for 10 years, and then all of a sudden it starts to pick up again and they become a major player, right? And so you're always trying to, I think, leave the character in the best possible place. I like to give them new toys to play with. I like like I said, new villains, new supporting cast, new city, new whatever. And I think that's the best thing you can do, is in leaving your mark, is making sure that you leave the character in a better place.
It sounds like Jessica Cruz is getting folded here. Holy cow.
You know what? That's so interesting you say that, because I almost forgot to bring him up, but this is a character I want to touch on. Fadeaway. You actually went and brought Fadeaway Jr., and it's a hilarious opening battle because he more so just pisses Jaime off. Like he's kind of like a troll that Jaime can't tell really what level of bad he is yet. He just knows he's kind of
He's on some
he
shit.
does things like that. But Fadeaway Jr. was a reference to some classic artifacts, and you know, his father had fought characters like Hawkman. And what's the future looking like for Fadeaway in terms of remaining in the lore?
Yeah, so Fadeaway, I love Fadeaway. I love our non-binary anti-villain kind of character. But they have, like you said, they have a huge legacy. They are the grandchild of the original Fadeaway Man, who's like an old school Hawkman villain. And I really wanted to update the concept because I thought the magic cloak of it, all the cool powers that came with Fadeaway Man, was really had a lot of potential there. But the old gray-haired man wasn't as interesting as a foe for Blue Beetle, right? We want some vibrancy, we want something fresh.
Yeah,
and so
the young, fresh kid kind of experience.
We will see more of the character in Scarab War, and hopefully popping into some other places here or there. So that's kind of my big scheme there. If you read the end of Graduation Day, that we have a little bit of like a prologue to kind of tease up some of the events of Scarab War, and I can guarantee you'll see more of Fadeaway and another character.
Apparently, he's going to be one of the major ops to Blue Beetle.
Yeah, and
in the current day. Okay.
You know, that was so cool because again, you aren't shy about using legacy characters and
which is sick. I like that.
Or adjusting to the current landscape in DC in terms of like, it wouldn't make sense if Fadeaway, to me, if the grandfather was around doing the same stuff, because
Caligstro, yeah. Holy shit, that dude's like an old ass villain.
Chasing him, and who was, it was Batman, Hogger, all that. That's tough to deal with. So
he's his grandson.
Characters.
That's wild.
How fun did you have? Introduced, because you know you are working in such a massive landscape. DC's been around for decades, but you also have the chance to
almost
introduce
a whole century
blood to the verse. So what's that been like, using both legacy and just straight up new characters, knowing this is something that's going to be imprinted on DC forever?
Oh man, it's got
to be wild. Yeah, it's got to be an honor.
Because like, someone's going to read your comic in 5 years or 10 years or who knows 50 years and try to draw from it. In Scarab War,
true.
Our storyline now, we touch on the.
I mean, think about your favorite comic and how old it is. Like, just think about that idea. In 20, 30 years, it's going to feel even similar to the stuff coming out now. So people will herald this as like the iconic stuff
of basically the original Dan Garrett Blue Beetle's first story, and we build off of a storyline that was set in motion then that hasn't been picked up since. And so, okay,
that shit needs to happen more often in DC. That's an OG writer moment right there, where they're like, hey, I remember this old story we never finished, essentially, and because the comic got shut down too soon or something along those lines, but fans always wanted to follow it up upon. That right there is awesome, dude. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10 right there.
I don't expect readers of Blue Beetle, of our Blue Beetle #1, to go back and read Blue Beetle #1 from like 1963.
But it's good context for those who have.
I think that just
feels good.
That continuity is what makes that legacy, is what makes DC so special, and what makes Jaime
the
so
big
special.
Part of their entire identity.
Yeah, and I mean, you are taking a character with a tricky past, because the legacy is not the same as the Scarab. And
true.
To see all these new concepts, I mean, like I said, the Reach Horizon, we've had so many cosmic issues in DC, Zarnians and Lobo. We've seen all these different alien races out there. So I guess one of the last questions I'll have for you is, if you could leave one impression about the mythos of Blue Beetle, like, if you could just have one thing kind of remain after your work with Scarab War, after the work you just did with Graduation Day, what's the biggest aspect you've loved working with that you hope to really see last?
That's an interesting question, dude.
You know, I love... Oh gosh, that's a really good question.
Yeah, that's tough, dude.
A tough one.
JobberGodot's asking the tough
Starfire
stuff.
connection is really important to me. I think she's a character that you could see her being a part of Blue Beetle's supporting cast for years to come. And it kind of gives her something to do, a unique role outside of the Titans, which I think is really exciting. Beyond that, I hope we don't lose sight of, and this is something I can be guilty of too, because we're doing a big explosive superhero book. I hope we don't lose sight of the unpowered humans in Jaime's life. You know, family is so central to Jaime's story, whether that be his parents and Milagro, his sister, or this new family he's kind of thrown himself into, these beetles and his aunt, his tias, Gloria.
That seems like it's gonna be so weird.
And just kind of like, and Paco and Brenda, you know, they're in the book too. So I hope that we never,
good old Paco,
no matter how powerful he gets, we can't lose sight of what keeps him grounded.
Would you say that's a huge factor for Jaime going forward? Because, like you said, he's growing to the point in
family
confidence, and we saw it at the end. He's standing up to characters like Batman. So, is that
is
family
pretty wild.
Aspect, that human side, that ability for him to step away from action when the League asks him to, because it's the right thing to do? Is that something we're going to see him battle with? Because again, this is a scarab designed to be an apocalypse for Earth, and he's got to constantly negate that. So is that just like moving forward a big aspect for you with his character?
Yeah, I think so. And also, you know, Jaime,
some interesting stuff in here,
has been so alone for so long with the Scarab. You know, it is him and Kaji, but it's them again. It's been them against the world in some level
forever. Yeah.
And for the first time, there are others that are kind of like him. You know, we have Dynastus and Nativa now.
Yeah.
They have a relation.
It would be weird to see Jaime finally in a place where he's got other scarabs who aren't trying to kill him or collect him, right? Like, that concept's really weird for them all to sit down and relate and understand all the problems they're going through.
Relationships with their beetles that I hope we get to explore in some detail. And so there's a lot of, he has a chance to kind of build a community that reflects his life a little bit more. He doesn't have to be, he's not alone anymore.
Sure, yeah. I mean, seeing him, he didn't know how to react to them. Obviously, they had their intentions and their perceptions of Jaime, but things are changing as they kind of discover more about the person they were hunting. Last thing before we wrap it up. Jaime Reyes, as a character, you know, we haven't had him long.
True, since like 2004
in my opinion, one of the
or 5.
Had to see.
He's always been a character who's been around.
And how important he is.
So it's really important to see them solidify that.
Was fascinating to me early on in the interview. You said he looks up to the Batman, but he would be more like Superman. And can we kind of just like touch back on that? Because that's fascinating to me. Because his
a really interesting placement for him.
At some points is almost, I wouldn't say hard to read, but he's going through so much that you're like, how is he processing this? You know, how is he not in shock?
It's a lot of trauma. His whole life has just been traumatic.
Thrown at him. So
like literally
Batman,
nothing but trauma.
And Superman dynamic you mentioned, I'm just curious, could we get like one last take on that aspect to his personality that helps shape him?
Yeah, I think that on some level, maybe even Batman looks not up to Jaime. I think Batman wishes he had what Jaime has, right? Or Jaime has this huge family that adores him and has his back no matter what.
Yeah, he has everything Batman lost.
He's always had that.
That's
Batman
what it is.
had to grow out and slowly build his own family, right? And even then, there are levels.
They're always at arms. Yeah, there's always at arm's length.
We're seeing that go on in this Gotham War storyline that's happening in the Batman books, where the family's a little fractured.
He's well connected with other stories. Let's go.
Superman is a family man, more clearly and more classically. But I think that when it comes down to it, you know, Jaime is a defender of this planet. He's a defender of his community. He's not just of this world. He has this cosmic destiny that's greater than him, that will go on forever. You know, Kaji Dawes had Dan Garrett and now Jaime, and I think at the end of the John Rogers run, they Jaime's very aware that he's not going to be the last Blue Beetle. And so I think that selflessness and that humility is something that really defines the character too.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that is true. I mean, that he's got to deal with the realization that it's going to be his time just like everybody else. And he's got to just act accordingly. So,
Yeah,
we kind of had a time frame in mind, and I could honestly pick your brain on your run for 20 hours. So I don't want to do that to you. Before we go,
That's some wild statements, though. People are talking about it in chat over here, dude. That statement is insane.
What should we look forward to with Scarab
Hey,
War?
what are we looking forward to coming on?
Yeah, we're gonna see a brand new villain with ties to the original Blue Beetle, Dan Garrett. We're gonna
Okay.
see
Throwback.
Dionysus and Natita kind of come into their own, or try to, or fail to. We'll see into superheroes, and we'll see a lot more scheming from Victoria Cord. We have a big Ted storyline that we're kicking off, and
This guy sounds like he's built his own little universe inside DC, man. That's sick.
This community he's built around himself. After the events of Graduation Day, all eyes are on him. You have all this power, you have all these friends and these
We're
allies.
hearing all these things, yeah.
What does it mean?
What are you gonna do with it?
if you don't do something with it? So he has to figure that out too.
Yeah, and I'm loving the journey personally. Like I said, just we have this such massive landscape you're working with, and we're still getting new aspects, ideas, and fleshed out concepts, especially with the reach and everything involved with Jaime. So I just want to personally thank you for the amazing run.
Yeah, this
you're
was
giving
sick.
us, this run you're about to give us, and again, I would love to bring you on sometime again to talk about your stories. And I had a blast picking.
Hopefully
your
we
brain
hear
about
from him again.
DC and Blue Beetle today.
No, thank you for having me, and let's pick this up after a few issues.
Oh, for sure. I would absolutely love to. But yeah, anyways, guys, make sure to check out
Yo,
check out
okay,
Graduation Day if
okay.
you have not already. It's
Yo, okay, so hold up. Let's do some reviewing here, man. So it sounds like this new Scarab War run is like 10 out of 10 gas, okay? Like everything I saw in here to it makes it sound to me like it's pretty crazy. It sounded like they're really hyping up both Jaime Reyes and the Reach in general to be doing all sorts of stuff, man. That statement about Jaime Scarab being the strongest artifact in all of DC is like insane to me. I literally see people arguing in chat down low whether or not it's death with the author or anything along those lines. I think I'm gonna have to see a lot of proof before I see it get there, but keep in mind this guy's writing it and he may legitimately be capable of writing it to that level. So we're gonna have to see what's going on there. He's saying the potential for it is clearly there, so that's really interesting to me. Especially if they're going to be clashing with Lanterns and other major Justice Leaguers and stuff. It seems like Jaime has gone from a character who's like a B tier like character, maybe even a B tier like Leaguer or like somewhere in that pantheon, to suddenly being like, yo, this guy wants to put him in the A+ to S tier. Like they want him to be top tier up there with like Superman and stuff. And could you guys imagine for just a moment that a guy who showed up in Infinite Crisis and has been kind of just chilling in the background, not a bad character or anything, he's just been kind of chilling and doing his thing, who kind of suffered from Spider-Man syndrome, where he was always like an immature kid who was strong, but not the strongest in the verse, but he tried to do the right thing. And now we're transitioning him into, yo, this kid's like becoming a top tier leaguer, and he's one of the strongest characters in the multiverse now. Like we're kind of pushing him towards that kind of department. It's gonna be crazy to see that evolution, and that sounds really interesting, man. That just sounds like really crazy stuff. I really like this interview, dude. This guy sounds like he's really cool. He also sounds really knowledgeable too, because he was reflecting on a variety of different different stories that were actively going on at the same time. So clearly he's at least reading stuff going on in other verses, which is awesome. But just absolutely stellar stuff. Yo, big shout outs to my boy Jobbers and Goons for doing the interview in general, because it's just cool to watch, even if I didn't get to record it for content or anything like that. But since he's a homie, he said, yeah, watch this. It's got some amazing things and some crazy statements, and like 10 out of 10. He's right, bro. That statement about that Scarab man is god tier. But it sounds like they're really building up more and more of the mythos and space for DC in the current day. But if I were to ask, okay, if I were to ask this author a question, I think my question would be, how has the Reach and the Horizon, how have they established themselves effectively during the formation of the United Planets? As I said earlier, it's kind of like the galactic senate of the entire DC universe, of all the different cultures and species coming together and basically doing what we had in Star Wars with like Galactic Senate. So I wonder if that the establishment of it has caused changes for the Reach, which is why we don't see them anymore, or at least not as often, or even for the Horizon. Maybe this is why they're showing up here and finding safe haven, because they finally think that they finally had a safe way to travel here because the United Planets have kind of taken over, and now they're all working together and in unison, which is something we've never seen before. But yeah, that would be curious, like how are the Reach dealing with the issue of the United Planets, because even entire Lantern Corps have backed down. But yeah, I don't know, it's really interesting. If he thinks the Scarabs in general are all like top tier leaguer level characters, then it would make sense that maybe they're fighting a war against all of the United Planets, which could be really interesting. But yeah, definitely reading up on this, and I've planned on doing some reading ever since I watched the Blue Beetle movie and we saw a slight glimpse of Green Lantern in there. I've been wanting to read up on both Jaime in general, but also the Reach as a concept, because I'm trying to map out pretty much every major Lantern villain inside space that they would come across, and I want to do like a variety of faction wars between all these spacefaring factions that exist inside DC. I think that would be really interesting, and the Reach I think would make for a really unique addition to that, and they might even be they might even be really powerful inside that matchup. With these new amps that they're giving them, or at least the threat they're making them out to be, they might genuinely be becoming one of the top tier threats in the entire universe. And with the lack of Green Lanterns right now, it would not surprise me at all to see them expand their influence across the universe, because the United Planets can't handle something like that. They dismantled the greatest army to defend the universe. That would be really interesting. Yo, DC 40K. Yo, that's what I should call it. Yo, DC 40K matchups. Yo, in space. That would be pretty wild. Yo. Yeah, Zoro and Luffy. Yeah, it's definitely the Reach are a faction, not a realm. They travel around and just cause all sorts of problems. So they don't stick to one place predominantly. But what was your guys' favorite moments from this entire run? Like this entire show. It was really interesting. This interview was awesome. Once again, thanks to Jobbers and Goons. Y'all who are still hanging out, like and subscribe. And yo, are you guys ready? Yo, is everyone ready? Okay, I'm about to make an announcement, okay? You guys are gonna get it first, alright? Yo, it will be tomorrow. All right, tomorrow is the day. So tomorrow, 9/16, I will be opening, but only to the public, no other YouTubers, my Discord publicly. There are a few people I don't think who will socially fit inside that bad boy, and that's no hate towards anybody who I think would not fit in that group or anything, but I think it's time for the whole Theromax Corps to come together and make it happen. So I've been working on all sorts of different things, and I'm really looking forward to seeing exactly what'll come of my Discord being a little bit more open. But fair warning, we do have strict rules. It is what it is. But since y'all are here, you are some of the toughest and biggest advocates of mine. I appreciate you guys hanging out, because y'all are the homies that keep stuff like this rolling. And if you want to see more content from me, guys, please, joining this Discord would be sweet, but become a member on my channel. I've got all sorts of things that are offered for anybody who's a member, and I look forward to making more and more content for them. They get snippets of all my content before it comes out, and even sneak peeks into some of my biggest content before it drops. So if you guys are interested in something like that, definitely do. It's like less than a cup of coffee a month, man. It's pretty sick stuff. But I guess that's really all I've got for you guys. I'm going to finish up here and probably jump in the Discord, chat it up with some homies. So Thanks for hanging out, and we'll catch you next time, Lanterns. Later.